Well, hello there. Welcome to our Take 5 segment here on a Friday morning. This is when I'm taping this. And if you're not familiar with our Take 5 segment, this is where I take around 5 minutes and give you a bit of a preview of what we're going to be looking at on Sunday. So the Sunday that is coming up, I believe it is the 14th of August. So we hope that you can either join us in person at 10 o'clock at Faith Church. If not, you can always catch the teaching on YouTube at our YouTube channel, Faith Church Martinsville. We're going to be sending out a link here shortly, either through Facebook or through our church email. If you haven't taken time and gotten on our website, www.myfaithchurch.org, there are several resources that we have made available for you. Instructions of how to download the YouVersion Bible app, as well as how to set up your own personal account to Right Now Media, which is a Netflix type of Bible studies that are available to you as well. There's also instructions of how to receive text alerts from our church, and that comes in really handy as we give some follow-up information, things that you can just do on your own that will reinforce what you learn on Sunday. So what are we going to be looking at actually here coming up on the 14th of August? Well, several years ago when I lived in the Fort Wayne area, this is before I was married, so it was several years ago, I lived next to someone who was a diagnosed agoraphobic. If you're not familiar with that, that is when a person is just so consumed with fear of things that they're not familiar with that they become really trapped in their own house. And I remember, and I was young at this time, but I remember that other neighbors that I had met that said that this man had not been out of his house for 12 years. Every once in a while, I would see him walk past a window, or the shades were drawn, but you could see his shadow. And I just thought to myself, how in the world does he function? There were a few people that he knew that would come over every once in a while, would deliver him food and things that he needed, things that I'm sure that most of us would just simply go to the grocery store or Walmart or something like that to purchase, to buy, just to function. And this is before the days really where cell phones were popular, or you could go to Uber Eats or something like this and get things delivered. And so he was dependent upon outside people that he had known to really help him with his day-to-day battle with just fear, right? So what does this have to do with what we're going to be looking at here Sunday coming up? Well, for many of you, you know that we've been on this teaching series called Redefine. We've been looking at Jesus' redefinition of really a lot of the things that we just kind of commonly think are just known by everyone, right? A redefinition of greatness. Jesus certainly had this. He redefined what greatness meant in terms of being an individual. He has a very different checklist than we do. He called John the Baptist, for example, the greatest man born among women who has ever lived. And yet, John the Baptist, when it comes to what we would consider a great person, probably wouldn't make our top 10, right? Jesus definitely has a different measuring stick when it comes to greatness. We looked at Revelation chapter 2 and 3, where Jesus gives this report card to 7 literal churches. And some of the churches that we would expect would receive high marks receive actually low marks. And some of the churches that we would expect that would receive low marks actually get high marks. And so Jesus definitely has a greater or a different definition of greatness regarding our gatherings or regarding our church. Well, for the last month or so, we've been looking at greatness in terms of our going. 2 verses or 2 passages, the Great Commission and the Great Commandment. The Great Commandment, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus summed up all the law and the prophets, all the scriptures, when he said, just love the Lord your God. The sum of the law and prophets can be summed up in this, right? And then right before he ascends into heaven after the resurrection, Jesus does not give a repetition of that commandment to love. He actually gives us how that commandment fleshes out in real life. He gives us the Great Commission, which is go and make disciples. And so we've been talking about how if you say that you love Jesus, if you say that you love the Lord, you have to be involved somehow and in some way with what is on his heart, which is making disciples, right? And yet one of the greatest challenges to doing that is fear. And so we're going to be looking at a passage of scripture in Matthew chapter 10, where Jesus takes his 12 disciples, and he gives them just about what we would probably call the worst motivational speech ever before he sends them out, the first mission trip ever, 2 by 2, to the various towns and villages. And yet Jesus talks about what to do with worry and what to do with fear. And so we're going to be discussing that on Sunday, the 14th of August. We hope you can join us personally at 10 o'clock. If not, you can definitely find us on YouTube. Well, the Lord bless you, Lord keep you, and may his face shine upon you and give you strength. God bless. Hope to see you on Sunday. Bye.